Hi there, my name is Whitney and I'm the crafter behind the blog and YouTube channel Whiskey and Whit. And I got the opportunity to curate your Expressions Vinyl Mystery Project Box for January 2023. And I am so excited to be here to share with you a project idea for how you can use some of the items in the box. So today we are going to be grabbing the wood round that came in the box. I love to DIY with wood, so I knew this was one of the things that I hoped they could get in the box for me, and of course Expressions Vinyl came through. And then we're gonna grab some adhesive vinyl. So I am using the pink check pattern that I designed in the box. We're also doing the light pink, the matte white, and then the lavender. So we are gonna make a Valentine's Day version, but the awesome thing about this project is that I have a ton of different options for this wood round in the cut files. So I have Valentine's Day, I've got snowflakes, I've got little branches that you could use year round, and you could honestly put whatever you are feeling on to this wood round. I've got leopard prints for the bottom, so a ton of different options, so you can customize this how you want, but I love seasonal decor, so today we're going to do Valentine's Day. So the first thing we need to do is prep our wood because I'm not going to leave it unfinished like this. So I decided to just paint the entire thing white, and I ended up doing 2 coats of chalk paint. So the first thing we want to do is figure out how big our round is so we know how large to cut our decals. So I am going to take my handy dandy little measuring owl. You see this in all of my videos. I think this is one of the best things that you need when you get a vinyl cutting machine or any type of crafts you're going to be cutting to a certain measurement. It just helps because then you know what size you need and you don't have to worry about cutting things multiple times. So as I measured, this is a 12-inch wood round all the way around the outside. So to cover the bottom like I want to, I'm going to need a 12-inch semicircle. So I went ahead and did that in my design software. And then I was able to cut it on this. Now you might be thinking it's a 12 by 12 piece of vinyl. How did I do that? Well, the nice thing is there's this little strip along the outside and it gave me just a little bit more. So I was able to squeak it just in on this pink check, which was awesome. Now I am going to opt to just apply this by hand just because I like the material of this vinyl. You can use transfer tape if you want, but just to save the transfer tape, I'm just gonna peel off my half circle. And we're gonna apply this essentially like it's removable wallpaper. Okay, so once I have it where I want it, I'm gonna take my little squeegee tool. I'm gonna start in the center, push it down, and then work my way out to the one side from the center. And also the nice thing is without it being like fully stuck down, you can get it so there aren't any bubbles. Do the same thing on this side. So once this is all pressed down, we've got a really fun little half of a sign. And this would also be really cute if you don't want to do Valentine's Day or you don't decorate for Valentine's Day. You could use this for Easter as well with this print. So now we are going to add the wording that is going to make it feel like Valentine's Day. So I used the Hey There Valentine file that was in the cut files that you got from me for the box from Expressions Vinyl. In purple, I did the part of the cut file that has one heart and then the word Valentine. I also decided to add a white offset of 0.15 to the word Valentine, just so it popped up off of that pink check that we just put down. And that's what I'm cutting here. And then I also decided to do Hey There at the top in this pink that came in the box, this light pink, which is really pretty. So we've got all 3 of these, so we're gonna weed them and then we'll get them stuck to our sign. Okay, so we're gonna put our vinyl pieces that we cut off to the side to put into our scrap pile because you never know how you can use them later on. I just like to put them into a little folder and save them all that way. And then I'm gonna figure out approximately how big I need my transfer tape so we can add these words onto our sign. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to layer the purple Valentine onto the white offset here. So Offset is just basically like bubble letters essentially. So this is Valentine large, and then this is gonna fit right on top, and it's just gonna make the word pop just so it doesn't get lost with that pattern on the back. I like to use that too to really make something stand out. So before we apply this to Valentine and start to layer it, I'm gonna take this piece of transfer tape and I'm gonna put it on the table. Now, if you guys watch my channel, you know I'm obsessed with Expressions vinyl paper transfer tape, and I love this clear too. I usually reach for the paper transfer tape, but this is awesome because it's a really good in-between and it's not gonna rip up a ton of stuff. So I'm just sticking this to my table a couple times just to remove a teeny bit of tack, just because we don't wanna rip up any of that paint we just put on that sign. So then we're going to apply our transfer tape onto our word here, and we're going to use our little scraper tool to push it down, get out any air bubbles, and I actually need just a little bit more transfer tape to cover up this heart up here, even though I didn't put the offset on the heart, just because I wanted them to match the other hearts in the file. And you can simply do that by adding an offset. And then in Cricut, you can use the contour feature. I'm sure there's something similar in Silhouette that you can remove that. So within your offset, it just won't cut that piece. So then to layer, we're going to grab some parchment paper just because I really like how that helps me layer everything. So I'm gonna peel off this backer sheet, and essentially what this is gonna do is act as a barrier between our white Valentine offset and the purple Valentine text, just so then that way I can get it where I want it before I stick it down or before it has a chance to stick to anything. So I like to just stick something on it over here so it doesn't move on me. And I'm just having a little bit of the E hang off here. And then what we're gonna do is actually stick the backer of the transfer tape onto the back of that heart so I don't stick it to my table. I just like to use scraps, you know, if I can. So I'm using that backer scrap. So then we are going to start on the side with the V and kind of lay it down, and we can kind of move it around until it gets where we want it. Kind of look at it, make sure not only is it right, you know, up and down height, but it's also good as far as the right amount of offset around each letter. Okay, so once you think you're in a good spot, we're gonna stick this down. So that little piece right there is going to hook to your actual decal. Then we're going to peel it up kind of like a hinge. See, it's not gonna stick to that parchment paper. Whale that on out. Make sure you still have something under that heart so you don't stick it to your table. And then we're going to take our squeegee tool and push it right across that word. And that is so much easier than feeling overwhelmed and feeling that it's very daunting to try to get that to line up perfect before it sticks on you. So we're going to grab our sign, and we're going to add this first because the hay there that we cut out in pink is actually going to overlap it just a tad. So we want to make sure that it's in the right spot, so then that way that will be applied correctly. So now we can remove that piece behind our heart, and we're going to peel back the transfer or the carrier sheet essentially on the back. And then the other thing we can do here is, because this is see-through, I can go ahead and wrap this around the sign as well, just to kind of help me figure out, okay, am I where I want to be before it sticks on me? So you can kind of see, okay, the heart's in the right spot. Are we centered? And I decided to cut this decal 11 inches wide, so it gave me about a ½ an inch on either side for spacing. Okay, so now the last step before I stick this down is to just make sure that I feel like it is straight across. Okay, and if I do,
And I'm going to peel this back just a little bit. I'm actually just going to fold this so it gives me somewhere to stick it down to. So then once we have this where we want it, I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. Peel up the rest of that parchment paper. And then we can do the same thing. Go right across with your hand, stick it down. And then we're going to carefully peel back the transfer tape from the corner. You want to be careful, especially on that painted area, but that's the nice thing about this lower tack transfer tape. I'm going to grab my hay there, which I also cut out and weeded during that first run. And I'm just going to go ahead and use this same transfer tape because it is going to go ahead and be less tacky. Even now that we've used it, it's already been on that paint, etc. And then another tip that I like to do, especially when I'm going on a painted surface here, is you can go ahead and cut around it pretty close to the decal that you're applying. And that'll help too, because then there's less chance that you're gonna have transfer tape stick somewhere where it shouldn't. So it just really helps minimize the chance of messing up your paint at all. Gonna peel back our carrier sheet to reveal the sticky. And then I'm going to figure out here kind of where I want this to land. Now we've got our guide hearts essentially up here in the corner. So I am matching it up with that. And this looks good. So we're gonna start in the center again, push to the outside, start in the center, push to the outside. That just helps with bubbles. And then once that is pushed down, we're gonna go up here. And if you have any issues with like your vinyl just like popping a little bit, go ahead and just take that squeegee tool. You can hold down the edge and that will allow you to peel back that transfer tape without really having much of a fight with it. And voila, and we're in a great spot because we did not peel up any of our paint. Woohoo!
So your box is gonna come with a little like sawtooth hanger that you can add to the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this because we can also use it to hang it on a wreath. So I'm gonna make sure that this is laid down straight because you wanna make sure it's straight in the back. And then we're gonna pick a spot probably, let's say right here. So about where it's 9 inches across. And we're gonna put this centered at about 4.5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little tooths there. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about the center. Okay, so then all you need to do with this is you're gonna take a hammer, be careful with your fingers, and just give it a tap into the back. And then it's gonna be solidly in there. So you can go ahead and hang this from a nail if you want this to be hung in your house, or what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this jute twine here and I'm going to double it up, slide it right through here, and use those little teeth to grip on to this jute twine. You just wanna make sure it is even. And then we're gonna go ahead and tie this. So then that way you could hang it like this on your door on a wreath, which is how I am going to use mine. Now I'm gonna be using this in my house, but if you wanna use it on like a front door or somewhere where it gets a lot of sun, you're gonna want to seal it just for the sake of not having any vinyl kind of pop up in the elements. It is a permanent vinyl, but I do like to seal it if it's going to be on your front door. I was originally gonna add a bow to this, but I really like how it is right here, but you could easily add a bow up here in this open area or make your text a little bit smaller. And if you love it too, be sure to take a picture of your creation, how you're using it, whether it be the Valentine's Day version or any other projects with this wood round, and be sure to share it on social media. Be sure to tag Expressions Vinyl as well as Whiskey and Whit so we can see what you guys are up to with the mystery box. I cannot wait to see all the stuff you guys are creating. Thanks so much for watching and happy crafting.